Hello, I'm Tan the Tan BOTC channel, and Cyberpunk 2077 is not worth a hill worth dying on. It's not a hill worth dying on, or whatever the saying goes. And there's many reasons for that. I saw Asmongold watching the clip side-by-side comparison utilizing water with Starfield and such. Like, I already used Skyrim and Fallout 4 to show Cyberpunk is not that great, or not to show, but to go over the different details and stuff. Same here. Cyberpunk, even after the update, I'm sure it's still not going to have a lot of the same stuff. And you have to realize a lot of that stuff they showed was patched or fixed like almost a year or two later. It took forever, and Starfield already on launch has a bunch of stuff that Cyberpunk was supposed to promise forever ago. There's actually flying in the game, flying vehicles. You can actually see a tram you can get on and go from place to place. There's multiple romance partners and multiple options. The dialogue system's already better. I've only played 4 hours, by the way, and I can already tell a bunch of this stuff is better. Now, I don't know how to feel about the worlds, because it feels very Mass Effect 1, where it's like empty world, little space that you can walk in or whatever. It is big, but it might feel very empty for people, and people might not like that. And there's only like a few points of interest, unless it's very like story driven. But there's still some really cool things nonetheless, from ship battles to docking ships and stuff, and cave systems and stuff. Even if they do look samey, I don't think Starfield's going to be as good as Skyrim and Fallout to me. And you gotta realize not every company is perfect. Same goes for CD Projekt Red. I know a lot of people try to hold on to CD Projekt Red as hope. Honestly, hold on to FromSoft and Larian now. Not CD Projekt Red. Even Obsidian. I think Outer Worlds has a lot of the same problems that I've described with, the hell? They got freaking hair in this or something? The hell? Yuck. Sorry about that. But, that's weird. I wasn't expecting that. I think it was part of the mask, actually. Yeah, it's like a black string. Anyways, but, yeah, this is not a hill worth dying on. This game is being... People are trying hard to defend Cyberpunk. I don't think it's worth a hill dying. It's the hill dying. Whatever the freaking saying is. I'm messing it up big, but you know what I'm trying to get at. Cyberpunk just has, like, the other problem is variety. Like, even after the update and stuff, weapon variety, armor variety, even just interesting armor. Most of the armor in Cyberpunk is not very interesting. It's got that Division 1 problem where it's just really generic, bland, everyday outfits and stuff in that universe, basically, the equivalent of that universe. And it's just really bad, or just recolored versions of the same goddamn thing you already found elsewhere. The weapon variety is boring. It's got that same problem as Outer Worlds, where it's just different colored weapons or armor, or maybe the stats are slightly different. Other than that, no. Already, Starfield has more variety in its weapons, its enemies, and more. And that's saying something, because I've heard, like, Asmongold say that it doesn't have that much variety, but honestly, it does. Like, I don't know, like, once again, they got the perk and skill tree and stuff, as well as some of the other stuff that at least changes gameplay. Like, in some versions, you might not ever run into the Adoring Fan. In other versions, you have, like, parents or a house. You want a dream home, but you gotta pay the mortgage. There's different things that help to change the gameplay, where the Street Kid and the Corp and whatever the other thing in frickin' Cyberpunk, those only last for a little bit, and the dialogue options really don't make a difference in the game on a whole. It's hard to show my hands for gestures, and I usually, like, I put it too far back. Um, but I don't know what I'm doing. But I do know that Cyberpunk already screws over a bunch of things that somehow Starfield even gets day one. And you gotta realize, even if people finding problems with Starfield, we haven't begun to have patches and stuff with Starfield yet. So, and we don't know how long those will take. They might even be shorter amount of time compared to when Cyberpunk got theirs. A better game to compare is No Man's Sky, not Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk is not even on the same level as No Man's Sky. Not even close. So I don't know why SkillUp was dumb enough to compare it and say that it was a worthy game of freaking being mentioned as a redemption on the same level as No Man's Sky. No, definitely not. Even Sea of Thieves is more redemption arc than not No Man's Sky than Cyberpunk. Like no way. And even though they show the stuff utilizing civilians in the water, first off, they jumped in shallow ass water, knee high water, when they demonstrated that in Starfield, where they didn't in frickin' Cyberpunk. And even if they did, they didn't have a lot of those changes and stuff and animations and all that. Well, at least at least certain things. They didn't until later on when they patched them. And even the AIs were frickin' stupid as hell. I am at least surprised that there's a lot of AIs in one space with that city there. I at least find that city more interesting, and there's just interesting things like getting a job or doing bounty hunting or applying at one of those. There's also just different situations you can get into. It at least adds dynamics to the way the game plays and the different events that can go on and what you can experience. It at least gives something that makes each gameplay playthrough different to some extent. Uh, in Cyberpunk, it's like the only differences is the beginning and the ending. I mean, you can say different things in the dialogue that require maybe Street Kid or whatever options, but they still lead to mostly the same outcomes. So it really doesn't matter. And Beatemups, once again, even though a lot of the things they did fix that he's approached, his whole video was not about glitches. His video was showing the presentation of the story, the characters, and the dialogue system. Realize that role playing doesn't just mean role playing in dialogue. Role playing can be in other factors and areas of the gameplay, and I felt like Diablo fans, especially when complaining to Actman over his video, didn't realize this or think about it when they made their stupid ass complaints. And I feel like kind of the same thing is going on here. And it's just sad that so many people are blindly defending Cyberpunk this way. It's gotten ridiculous. Um, I don't care if your game take Horizon versus Zelda. Like the reason that this is the same situation, and I think Horizon's a better game than Cyberpunk as well. And the reason Horizon wasn't held to the same regards as freaking Zelda was because Zelda was just doing a lot more impressive things with its worlds and environments or whatever, or its world, which then it got other levels with environmental like worlds and stuff, like floating platforms or an underground entire world or whatever. Like, and just the stuff that people were finding out to do in that game was freaking impressive by the time people figured out a bunch of stuff in the Zelda games. And by the time, especially Tears of the Kingdom came out, it blew Horizon out of the water. Horizon did good things. It was still a good game, but it was still a generic open world game to some extent. It still had a lot of the tropes of Ubisoft games, but it also just didn't do enough to raise above the bar that Zelda was already setting. And by the time Tears of the Kingdom came out, it just set that bar higher and higher each time people discovered things, especially with that building mechanic. It's just like it was too late for Horizon by then, and it's the same here with Cyberpunk. It's like it should be too late, yet people are still dumbly defending this, sadly. And whether things are objective or subjective, Like, I still think there's a lot of problems with Cyberpunk even now, and after the update, it took them this long to finally do a lot of this stuff, and yet even Starfield on launch has a bunch of the stuff they still haven't promised until Phantom Liberty. And we still don't know if it's gonna screw the game over more or just be, I don't know, stuff missing. There's gonna be a point in time where people realize Cyberpunk is not all it's chalked up to be, where people actually get sick of it and there's not much of a reason to defend it anymore. A lot of those things that they defended with shooting the water mechanics or diving into it and stuff, while those can be somewhat explained away, and they did take a while still to fix a lot of those problems that they didn't have originally, uh, or things they didn't have originally that should have worked. Even Watch Dogs Legion did things better. They still have a lot of other problems catching up with. Like, there's a ton of stuff from weapons, armor, enemy variety. Starfield's got that. You got the fact that you can actually bring your romance partners not only into battle with you, but also the fact that there's more communication between the two of you or whoever you're dating in the game. The fact that you can get married and I guess divorced as well. I saw something weird like that. You can also apply for jobs and stuff, be part of a guild or so. The stores probably. I haven't seen any stores yet, but I'm sure they work better than whatever the frick Cyberpunk's lazy ass stores are. But yeah, a lot of like even the stuff they were talking about with the new update and Phantom Liberty or whatever the hell it's called, they still haven't promised a lot of the things that Starfield delivered day one and such. And it's like even older games had this stuff and they still didn't. Even The Witcher 3 had stuff that Cyberpunk didn't and still doesn't. So it doesn't feel like it's worth arguing for trying to like even New Vegas. I remember the video that was trying to say that New Vegas was not as good as Cyberpunk and I'm like, you are a lost soul. You are drunk. Go home. Like, what the hell? Like, there are so many things you can bring up. And they're entirely different games, too. And there are so many things you can already bring up alone just from what you know, your knowledge of just watching somebody play Fallout New Vegas, that game is still better than Cyberpunk. I get sick of hearing people praise the hell out of Obsidian and Fallout New Vegas and such. And I love the original two Fallout games. And I understand freaking getting angry with those people who obsess over that stuff. Obsidian's not perfect company either. I think Outer Worlds has a lot of the same problems I've talked about in previous videos of mine with Cyberpunk, but somehow Cyberpunk is, and some of the worst games to me are mediocre games rather than actual genuinely bad games, because I at least remember the bad guy games. I at least have funny moments, and yeah, there's terrible moments and they're here for a quick buck too, and they're greedy and egotistical and such, some of the people behind them. Not everybody, but there's sadly bound to be someone there and there. And I guess you can say, like, can you separate the art from the artist in certain cases? But Cyberpunk's that mid game where it's like people are trying to get you to remember it and trying to defend the hell out of it, but it is just such a mid tier game. It is such a generic game, and it doesn't even come close to the greats of open world design and such. Not even close. And I feel like the game's gonna be dead. Like, there's so many big games that launched around its time. It's supposed to launch soon. You got Starfield on one side, you got Armored Core on another, you got Baldur's Gate 3 on one. You got a bunch of stuff. You got a bunch of Nintendo games coming up soon, too, like Super Mario Wonder and Sonic Superstars. I can't wait to play those, too. You got Mario RPG for a lot of Nintendo fans. You got the Metal Gear collection. It's like October's full of stuff. And I don't see Cyberpunk getting out of this very alive. It's probably going to get forgotten. And it's definitely probably not even going to make the Game Awards because it's going to be too late by then to try and make it. And if it made it, it's like, why? That's kind of like Genshin Impact somehow winning Player's Choice. Like, how did that happen? There's just a bunch of Genshin simps, just like there are Cyberpunk simps, sadly. And it sucks to watch this stuff. It is not worth it. Trust me. Um, and even if you don't trust me, that's your own damn fault. Stop being drunk while defending this game and take a better look at it. Take a more reflective look with common sense, genuine common sense, and stop blindly defending that game. That game still has a lot of freaking problems, and I'm sure even after Phantom Liberty. And people, this is the sad part, is people are defending it before Phantom Liberty even comes out. I made a video talking about, don't say this game was better before Phantom Liberty, and people are saying this game is better. It's not. You're stupid. No Man's Sky. Just use No Man's Sky, not freaking Phantom Liberty or whatever frick. No. Shut up. Bad. God. Pisses me off. It's gonna die one of these days. That game's gonna die before Starfield somehow. And I understand people's problems with Starfield. I do. I can't see why Cyberpunk is somehow getting more praise though. It's like, what? That game doesn't even come near the greats. Doesn't come near No Man's Sky. It doesn't come near Sea of Thieves. Like, I don't understand this crap. It's ridiculous. And that's not all I would have to add to this conversation, but I don't even know why I have to start the conversation in the first place. It's just a hill not worth dying on. Did I just get it right there? I don't know. I messed it up so much before. But whatever, I don't care. I just want to do a quick video on this. I could make the similar sized video to what I was talking about with my previous Cyberpunk versus Skyrim and Fallout and all that other garbage, whatever I have to say there. A lot of the same stuff that I contributed in those videos just from playing 4 or so hours of Starfield because I had to wait, sadly, for it to come out. And I'm playing it on cloud on an Xbox One. This isn't even a Series or an Xbox One S. This is just the old Xbox One. And it's running better than Cyberpunk. And there's still warnings about playing it on the PlayStation, by the way. The PlayStation consoles, so that's not good. So I don't know how it runs. I haven't tested on there. But I don't know if I want to take chances on a game that's still charging quite a bit, and especially with the Phantom Liberty edition that you can't buy separately until release day, because it's charging fricking $80, and you don't even know if it's still worth it then. So I would wait until either sale or just buy Phantom Liberty and do the update. That's all I would do. Don't bother pre-ordering. That's stupid. That's all I have to say. Kind of sad that Asmongold... I understand the No Man's Sky part, though, but I'm kind of sad that Asmongold is kind of only being given small portions of things Cyberpunk does better, because on the whole, Starfield's still doing stuff better and did stuff before Cyberpunk even has this stuff still. Cyberpunk still doesn't really have flying cars. On day one, they had to have mods of those later. Oh, the funny thing is freaking Starfield got nudity mods like almost launch day. That was pretty fast. The modding community is definitely right on top of freaking Starfield already, where Cyberpunk, it's like, what, it take a year or two till they had flying cars in the game? And even then, flying cars are kind of boring, because once you get over it being kind of cool at first, it's just kind of a fast way to get past all the boring driving, bad driving, and the crap, because the city, Edge City, and all that crap is just boring. Is it called Edge City? I can't remember what it's called. Honestly, it's not memorable anyway. But, yeah, that's all I have to contribute to that. I wanted this video to be much shorter, but it went on longer than I thought. So I hope you have an awesome day nonetheless. Stop destroying yourselves over Cyberpunk. It's not worth it. Seriously. Bye.